Hi and welcome back to this channel, and if you're here for the first time, thank you for finding your way here, and if you're returning, I'm very grateful, and I'm hoping that you've gained something from the previous videos that I've shared. So we're talking about self-care September. And again, self-care, what's that? Sorry, the flies are getting me. And first of all, if you are listening to this message, then I'm hoping that you're over the age of 1. So therefore, this September, you are not the same as you were last year. It's something different. You're at least 1 year older. Okay, so that's first of all. Second of all, I want to prove that you exist. So when we talk about self-care, I'm not speaking to the people who do it regularly. Please come in and tell me how you do that. I'm trying to connect with people that find it hard to do that consistently. Like I do sometimes. I step over myself and help everybody else, and don't include myself in that narrative. So this is, again, a point for you and it's a point for me. So let's just go back right from the beginning. If you are listening, then you're a living, breathing human being, okay? So let me just check in to make sure that you are in existence. And there are 7 criteria that we can use. Now, when I was back at school, I didn't remember much about biology. I didn't really like the teacher that much, and depending on how we got on, I would take in what she said. But one of the things that I do remember is a criteria for being a living organism. Okay, so the criteria are breathing, excretion, nutrition, growth, reproduction, irritability, that's the temperature control, irritability and movement. So if that applies to you, then you're a living, breathing organism. And if you're a living, breathing organism, then you have needs to be able to stay alive. So we're talking about the basic food, clothes and shelter as a minimum, but there are other things that we need, i.e. attention, affection, affirmation, security, guidance, boundaries. These are all things that help to keep us safe as living organisms. Once we've established that, let's have a look at the challenges within our existence that make it really difficult for us to care for ourselves as we do for others. And I spoke last week about being taught only how to care for others first, or not even putting myself in the equation of care. If I took care of myself, it was so that I could be accepted by others. But I really didn't figure in my life. So I'm breaking it down almost as if, okay, if there's an obstacle for you caring for yourself, let's go right back to the very beginning, to the fundamentals of your existence. It's like me asking you to bake me a cake or to construct something, and I haven't given you the fundamentals. I haven't given you the method, and I haven't given you the tools or the ingredients. And then I judge you, and I criticize you, and I gossip about you when you've not done that thing well, or don't know how to do it. So we're going to go right back to basics. You exist, and you have needs. And if your needs are not met in a unique way for you, something happens. The outcome may vary, okay? So stay with me on this. When we talk about breathing, it's what do you take in, what you let out. Excretion, what do you hold on to that no longer serves you? Have you found a way to let it go? Take what you need and pass it on or pass it out. No use to me anymore. I've got my fill. Because if you don't excrete, if you don't let go, something builds up. And sometimes it builds up because we don't know what life is like without it. Or it builds up because we're scared of the unknown without it. That's all. Nutrition. Not just food that we take in. We take in things through our environment. What we hear, what we've been told, what we see, what we smell, what we taste. Those are all perceptions, what people say, what we say. These are all food for our emotional and mental well-being, or not, as the case might be. In growth, we talked about earlier on, we're not the same from last year September to this one. So how have you changed? How do you know what's markers of growth for you? Or if you've reached an optimum level, how do you maintain that? Or if there's somewhere you want to be in your personal development, what obstructs you from doing that? These are all factors we can take into consideration, not just as a biological existence, but as a living, breathing person filled with emotion, thoughts, mental construct. How do these things factor in our existence? So we've got breathing, excretion, nutrition, growth, irritability, breathing, excretion, nutrition, growth, reproduction. Reproduction, what do we pass forward? What do we multiply? How do we become creative, or what stifles our creativity? It's not just about making babies. It's about how do we show up to know that we were here? Let me just show you something. I'm just sitting in a part of a garden, and right in front of me I've got some runner beans. And beyond that I've got some chard that's growing. Now it's in this season that it knows, you know what? I'm not going to make it to next season. I know that I'm not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send something forward so that there is a replication of myself, or the proof that I was here. Let me just show you. So there's the runner beans. And there's the... So I deliberately kept the seeds of the chard because I want to be able to use it again, not only in this garden but other gardens, and to give it to my friends and family. So that's a sign of it's grown to its potential. It knows it's coming to the end of its era, but it's passing something forward to show that it did exist. And again, the chard that I had there was from chard from the year before. That's growth. That's reproduction. And movement is, yes, I said we were going to start walking every day, yeah? Or walking to post a letter, or parking a little bit further from the place of work or from the shops, and just putting in a little more extra steps to show that we're alive, to show that we can get from one space to the other. If there's no movement in your life, okay, hear that. What is the obstacle? What stops you from moving? Is there a challenge that's just too high? Or is it something you haven't been shown how to do to overcome that particular query? So these are just kind notes to self. We're talking about the obstacles. It's great if you can do that, but if you can't, you find it hard. Well, I'm hoping that this channel will be a sort of a help. Just things to think about. So you don't judge yourself harshly, but you accept, understand, and grow through these challenges, okay? And many of my clients come to me saying, I have no idea how to do these things. Well, who taught you, or who didn't teach you? How do you know to do these fancy things? So just note to self, okay? And so one of the things that I would like to advocate in going forward for this section of our channel is Self-Care September, I'd like to introduce two things, okay? Number one, I want you to set a time every day to do something, whether it's be to take 5 minutes for yourself to have a cup of tea, or to spend time by yourself with your living organism, your being that's fully functioning and formed. Or set a time to wake up every morning, a realistic time, so that when we start putting routines and boundaries in place, even if you don't jump out of bed at the same time, but at least you enter the new day at the same time. So it's either you set an alarm to wake up, or set an alarm to take some time for yourself. That's realistic and doable. It could be just a minute, 5 minutes, but take some time for yourself every day, if and when you can. And hopefully, I was going to say when you remember, but we have devices now that can help us to remember. And last of all, say something positive on entry into that new day. For example, how about just saying thank you? Saying hi to yourself, or leaving it for you to be creative. What could you actually say to yourself in terms of something kind? Hello, hi, I'm hoping you have a good day. Or thank you to the powers that be, or the universe, or your source of inspiration. If you don't have one at the moment, that's fine. Just say thank you blankly, that you're here, that you exist. Okay? And so self-care can be broken down into minute parts. Understand the hurdle. Who put it there? How do we go over, under, around, or through it? And so this September, let's put you in the picture, because you exist. You're perfectly formed. You have needs. And let's now start to look at those needs that are unique to you, and how we can now begin to care for self, care for you. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.